I want to go through the paragraph at the bottom of your run-on and fragments notes and kind of talk you through different ways that you could adapt this to be correct, different corrections that you can make. So there's no one way to do this. Depending on the choices that you make, you could make it correct in 100 different ways. But I'm just going to show you one. So I'm going to highlight all of this and Control-C copy, and then make a new text box down here and just Control-V paste. I don't know why it only makes one line red, but I can change it all. Okay, so now I can have the freedom to make changes in here without it being goofy. So I have Grammarly turned on, so it's going to highlight the things that are spelling errors. You don't have access to that on your computer, so yours will look a little bit different. So Aretha Franklin should be capitalized because that's her name, is a musical artist from the 1960s. So a lot of students think that you need an apostrophe here, and Grammarly might actually be telling me that. But you don't need an apostrophe. It's just the pluralization of all of the years in the 60s. So it's not possessive, it's not owning anything. So the S is correct. She sang a lot of songs that a lot of people know. For example, Respect and Chain of Fools. This, for example, Respect and Chain of Fools is a fragment. It doesn't say anything about those songs. It doesn't say, Respect and Chain of Fools are very popular, so I need to fix that. So I'm going to combine that with the previous sentence. So she sang a lot of songs that a lot of people know, and I think I'm going to say, like Respect and Chain of Fools. Song titles should always be put into quotes. I need quotes on both of these. And titles of books and movies and TV shows and all of those things need to have their important words capitalized. So fools here should be capitalized, but of is not an important keyword in the title, so it should be lowercase. So people called her the Queen of Soul, and she was very well respected, and she was added to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So I'm going to put a extra D there to spell that correctly. Since the next sentence goes on to talk about the Hall of Fame, and this sentence is a little bit long and rambly, I'm actually going to break it here. So I'm going to say people called her the Queen of Soul, and she was very well respected, period. Don't want to start a sentence with and, so I'm going to get rid of that and start with an S. She was added to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So this is a place, a proper noun, so we're going to capitalize all of the important words. I think there's some repetition here. So she was added to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1987. She was the first female in the Hall of Fame. So I think the easiest way to say this is to switch some things around. In 1987, she became the first female to be added to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I think that's much clearer. So we can get rid of that. And then the next sentence says, although others have been added since then. So that refers to women. And this is a fragment, although others have been added since then. So I'm going to combine it with the previous sentence, and I can just put a comma there. Although is spelled out, although others have been added since then. And I think I want to make this clear that other women have been added since then. Other men have been too, but if I'm talking about her being the first here, I want to make it clear that we're talking about women here. So she died in 2018. This is a comma splice because it takes a full sentence and it smushes them together without proper punctuation. So I'm going to change this to a comma and. She died in 2018, and her funeral was on television for everyone to watch. It was sad. I could leave it like that. I think it was sad is a pretty basic sentence, so I'm going to change that period to a semicolon and connect those two sentences together with a semicolon instead. So if we reread it just to check it, make sure everything looks good. Aretha Franklin is a musical artist from the 1960s. She sang a lot of songs that a lot of people know, like Respect and Chain of Fools. People called her the Queen of Soul, and she was very well respected. In 1987, she became the first female to be added to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, although other women have been added since then. She died in 2018, and her funeral was on television for everyone to watch. It was sad. Perfect. So that's one way that you could change that up to make it more grammatically and mechanically correct. There are other ways that you could do it, but I just wanted to explain that because it's the closest thing that we have to your research slides. It looks a lot like the soundtrack projects that I receive from students, so I wanted to show you different ways that you could change those common errors to make them correct.